is Ace Creeper, welcome to the channel. Today is a very interesting video indeed, but before we get into the main topic area of what this video is about, let's talk about something that happened very recently. In December 2020, we did a charity fundraiser event, and I didn't really get a chance to debrief about that and talk about, you know, how much we raised and all that sort of thing in a video. Those who've been following my Twitter would obviously have been bombarded with stuff about it, but here we go. We did a 12-hour live stream with lots of different fun events and segments and all that sort of thing, pre-recorded and live, and we also did a charity auction as well, giving away some fantastic original oil paintings, prints, figures, all that sort of stuff. It was a great success, and we were aiming initially for £1,000. Then in the back of my mind sort of thinking it would be great if we hit 2,000 at an absolute push in an ideal world, and we raised a grand total of £3,461, not including gift aid in that, which is absolutely insane. And I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who got involved, who donated, who shared, who even watched the live stream for like 5 minutes, 1 minute, it doesn't matter how long you were there. Thank you so much for tuning in, thank you much for supporting the charity fundraiser, and thanks for making it such a huge, amazing success. The money is going to a really wonderful place. Young Minds is the charity, and they do some fantastic work for teenagers and young people with mental health issues. It's a very important charity, especially at this time, and I'm so glad that all of you could sort of jump in to support it, even just that little bit. This year was even such a success that we got a Radio Times article talking about Sacha Dhawan's video message in the live stream, which is, again, insane. So thank you so much for the Radio Times for making that article. Really did make my day. That was amazing. And generally, you guys know that these events are a huge honour on my channel. It's always a huge honour for me to make and do these sort of live stream events. We did one back in 2016, in 2017, in 2018, and now in 2020 as well. It's always, as I said, a huge honour. And talking of honours, that was not smooth in the slightest, but talking of honours, 15 months ago, in October 2019, I was invited to the set of Doctor Who in Cardiff, Rothlock Studios, to watch a day filming for Revolution of the Daleks. Let's talk about it. It happened so long ago now, but obviously the episode's out now, so I can actually talk about that experience and also share some stuff with you. It's a YouTube channel, it's Doctor Who related, and I thought you guys would really like to hear about how this new production team runs behind the scenes, what it's actually like being on that set at that time. Also, keeping the secrets of stuff like Captain Jack returning and the Daleks and all that sort of stuff as well is a huge part of it. So I thought I'd make a video about it and talk about my general sort of experiences on that. So enjoy. Upon arriving at Rothlock, we went straight to the production offices where we met the executive producer since 2018 of Doctor Who, Matt Strevens. It's always quite a daunting experience meeting someone who you're so aware of, especially in the world of Doctor Who. An executive producer is a big, big role. So it is always going to be daunting, but honestly, I was blown away with how warm and comfortable I was made to feel in that environment, and also how lovely and enthusiastic he was towards the show. It was a big day of filming with lots of stuff going on, which I'll get into, and he was clearly very, very excited about all of that as well, which really brings a lot to me as a fan to see the higher-ups of Doctor Who being that visibly excited about the show in general. At this point, I also met Chris Chibnall, the current showrunner of Doctor Who since 2018, also, of course, writer for Doctor Who and previous writer of Torchwood. I previously very briefly met Chris a couple years ago at the Series 11 Doctor Who premiere, but this was a chance to have a full-on conversation with him, to sit down and talk about Doctor Who, and to just sort of see kind of what he was like around that. To see what it was like being a showrunner for a show that he absolutely adored, and how he approached it. And once again, similar to Matt, the love and passion just shines through. There's so much raw excitement for the show about what's being filmed, what's being planned, what's happened during Series 12 that also wasn't public at that point. It was just a lot, and it was so great to see that. Chris and Matt are two of the loveliest people I've ever met, hand on heart, and two of the biggest fans of the show that I've ever seen as well. Both clearly very excited to be working on a show that they loved, and that really means a lot to see as a fan. After this, producer Stefan Morris took us from the offices down towards the actual set. The first set that we went to was the TARDIS interior, and it was stunning. It was really brilliant. Not how I expected it, honestly. The set is kind of cut off into two. One half of it is sort of the behind the scenes area, and the rest of it is the TARDIS. Now, the TARDIS is kept behind this big sort of black curtain, with the police box just in front of the black curtain. And the only way to access this 360 TARDIS set is to walk through the doors of the police box, almost like an unintentional sci-fi kind of Doctor Who experience type thing, walking through those doors and onto the set. I watched them film this quick scene, and then I was granted access to actually go onto the TARDIS console and look around. You got all the actors and camera crew working towards the centre of the TARDIS console, so I couldn't really get too up and close and personal, but I did get to walk around the side of the set, which was, again, a fantastic experience. Walking through those TARDIS doors and being hit with that sort of warm orange glow, the fancy blue lights, and at this point, remember, the new TARDIS design from Series 12 onwards hadn't actually been revealed yet, so to walk in and see all these changes, like the new lighting, of course, the ceiling prop, the stairs at the back, there was a lot of new things to look at, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. In person, this version of the TARDIS is absolutely stunning. It really, really is. It just feels, it honestly feels like being a child again. And, you know, at the times where I went to the Doctor Who experience and stuff, and it just feels so, like, magical. I don't know, does that sound too cheesy? Because of the way it's done behind the black curtain, you have to walk through the TARDIS doors from, on the outside, looks like a black wall with a TARDIS box that you walk into, and it's actually bigger on the inside. It feels like actually stepping aboard the TARDIS, which is, you know, insane. It didn't actually feel like being on a TV set when we got in there. It just felt like there were people with cameras inside the actual TARDIS. And also, of course, watching Jodie, Tosin, Bradley and Chris Noth practice their next scene was also quite an exciting experience as well. As someone who really wants to get into that sort of field in media, it was really interesting to see the behind the scenes of a TV set, especially one that I've been watching since I was younger, to see how they operated, to see how they worked, and it was weird in a way. It was a good weird, it was surprising. I didn't know what I expected it to be really, but it was like quite nice. It was quite a chilled environment. You always expect these things to be very full on and the sort of ultra silence, no joking around, just read your script, get the job done, go home, relax. But it was quite like relaxed. You could see that when the cameras weren't rolling, Jodie and the rest of the main actors were just so warming and lovely with each other, joking around, laughing and all that sort of thing whilst they're practicing their scene. And it's just great to see that sort of love and passion that goes into the show. And that's not just in the main cast. You've also got all the behind the scenes people, the camera operators, directors, producers, etc., all behind the scenes on that set, and they were just loving their job, and that's always brilliant to see. You don't always expect that when going on to these sort of like set things. I didn't know what to expect, and after this they continued to shoot a different scene in the second studio. So we headed out towards the second set, which was the 3D printing Dalek room thing. Between studios, you got to walk past all the sort of outdoor prop department places where they're just sort of prepping the props for the next following scene. And walking past, of course, I did have a bit of a look around. I saw this sort of Recon Scout style black matte Dalek helmet. It's the first time I'd seen it, obviously, but this is before the images had leaked online as well of the actual on-location filming. But seeing that, I was like, oh, wait. We're going to get new Daleks. And as I said, we went on to the second set, which was the 3D printing sort of Dalek room, and that was also very interesting. Not as big as it looks in the final episode, which was quite surprising. Again, being there and then seeing it on screen was a very interesting experience as well. But actually being on that set and looking at it and not seeing the full Dalek yet, but seeing the sort of half 3D printed versions of the Daleks was particularly interesting. And what some of you probably do already know from Revolution and Resolution, the new sort of slimmer Daleks don't have operators inside, at least not all of them. So that means they're remote controlled, or some of them are. And that was when, again, I had another one of those giddy sort of going back to being a child moments where someone clearly turned the remote on and this Dalek just comes to life and just sort of moves out of the sort of shadows. Obviously it's this new sort of black look, and that was it, the first look of a brand new Dalek, and I was like, it's a Dalek. It wasn't like clunky, there wasn't someone inside of it, it was a robot. It was like an actual Dalek moving its way to start shooting, which was just, well, in more ways than one. It was quite weird seeing that, and again, just something just to stand there and watch and be like, this is absolutely incredible. They were getting ready to shoot this scene, which was again was great to see, and yeah, just again seeing the TARDIS, seeing the crew, seeing this new Dalek was a very exciting experience generally. But then we continue. From there, Chris Chibnall met us back down on set and took us up to the edit suites, where we got to meet some of the behind-the-scenes editing team and the sort of VFX artists as well. At least the VFX artists that were on site, and not the ones that work away from Roflog itself. I didn't get many glimpses as to what they were working on, because obviously they were working on Series 12 stuff, which again, was still totally secret for me. But what I do remember seeing was a shot of this man on one of the computers. This man in a sort of black costume, looking like some sort of period piece, and it looked like he was falling off a cliff. Now, obviously, that I've watched Ascension of the Cybermen, I know that was like Brendan. It's just funny to look back at the time and see that and go, oh, it's just a guy falling off a cliff, that's pretty cool. Not to imagine that that was actually one of the biggest story points that's been in Doctor Who for a long, long time. Little did I know about then that that would end up being something that big. I just thought it was a guy falling off a cliff, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And before moving on, again, the people in the edit suites, again, were absolutely lovely and wonderful and so passionate about the job that they did. So, yeah, that was just amazing to see once again. From there, we spoke to Chris for a little bit longer before we got my only photo of the day, which I was allowed to take, which was me and Chris standing in front of the gorgeous sort of Chinese TARDIS murals that were plastered around the offices. So here's that photo. You can sort of enjoy that. From there, he gave a gift, which is quite odd. But this is the gift that he gave us. It's a sort of TARDIS mug. Now, I don't know if this has even been officially released yet, and it's still almost like, again, it's 15 months down the line from when I got this. But it looks like it's from 720, and if anyone can sort of identify this mug, that would be great, because I don't even know if this is even a thing, like, publicly. But he gifted us that. It was lovely to have that, and just to be able to say that Chris Chibnall gave me this. And I thought, for a bit of fun, I don't know if you remember when I did my video talking about my most prized Doctor Who possessions and my Doctor Who collection, but I actually did mention this mug, and I had to cut out a little segment, which I thought I'd keep for this video that I knew I'd be making in a few months' time, so enjoy that. A 13th Doctor era mug. I don't know, I just really like it. It's a nice mug. A mug that I actually got when I was visiting the Rothlock Studios for Doctor Who last year, 2019, as they were filming the New Year's Day special. But I'm going to have to edit this bit out because I actually can't tell you about that yet, but I'm hopefully going to use this segment in a future video when I do eventually get to talk about it. Lucky you, George, because I've had to keep that secret for bloody 6 months. So then we walked back into the room where they were filming on the TARDIS again, and they were filming and practicing a few more shots. I didn't mention this before, but basically the way the sort of TARDIS is laid out, because it's sort of up a bit, you can't actually see directly onto the set through the TARDIS doors, but you can see what's being sort of filmed, or at least framed up on the cameras, via the monitors that are outside the TARDIS set itself. So I took a seat and had a look, and then I saw something I never in a million years thought I would see. And that was Jodie Whittaker and John Barrowman, both in costume, standing on the set of the TARDIS. And there's not been many moments in my life where my jaw has physically dropped. But just seeing that, because again, this was before Fugitive of the Judoon. This wasn't announced, this wasn't even talked about. The last time John Barrowman had been mentioned in regards to Doctor Who was that stupid rumour that went around at the beginning of Series 11. This was huge. And I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. And if I thought it couldn't get even more incredible, I got to go on set and meet them, so that's great. Now, you guys know me, huge fan of the Russell T Davies era of the show. That's where I grew up, that was my childhood, you know, when Captain Jack was introduced into the show I was 4 years old, and that was like my first few series, Series 1, Series 3, Series 4, End of Time. Like, his appearances in the show were like my childhood, and at the time I was on the set, October 2019, you may remember if you've been on the channel long enough, but I was currently reacting to Torchwood for the very first time. So not only was I a massive fan of this character anyway from the past, but also currently watching Torchwood for the first time, and then seeing John Barrowman on set in his Captain Jack costume. Speechless. So yeah, for the second and final time, I got to go onto the set of the TARDIS, this time to actually meet the people who were practicing their scenes. Not for very long, but I got to meet them, and I'm going to talk about that now. So walking through the TARDIS doorway, there was someone who was leaving the set, and that was Bradley Walsh. On the way in, he shook all of our hands and basically said, you know, go and have a bit of fun playing around on the TARDIS console, jokingly, of course, because we couldn't get anywhere near it. We walked to the back of the set and the stairs and all that sort of stuff as well. And then John Barrowman came over to speak to us. And what an absolute legend he is. You would probably expect John Barrowman to be exactly as he looks online and all that sort of stuff. He is exactly as you'd expect. He is lovely, he is wonderful, he is just so passionate about the show, and honestly you could tell the excitement was there. Now I didn't know he was going to be in Fugitive of the Judoon, so I assumed this was like one of his first times back on set, maybe the first of well, maybe like the 5th day of filming or something like that, but I guessed it was relatively new, and you could see even still, he was so excited. Everyone was very excited about John Barrowman being there, but no one was as excited as John Barrowman. that John Barrowman was on the set of Doctor Who again. You can just tell he loves being there on the show. He loves playing Captain Jack. It's brilliant. Both him and Jodie were aware of who I was, which was, again, that's something insane to be able to say. They made so much extra effort just to be so lovely and warm and brilliant, and just, again, as you'd expect both of those people to be. John even called me a Doctor Who Uber fan, which is something I will physically take to the grave with me. John chatted to us for a bit, joking around with a few things, but also talking about how excited he was to be back on the show again. And then Jodie came and joined. And obviously, as you'd expect, she's one of the loveliest people around. Her and John had some fantastic banter, which, again, as a fan, seeing a new Doctor with Captain Jack, you want the banter to work. And off camera, off script, they were both so just passionate and just fun and jokey around with each other, and that is just brilliant. Also, standing there less than a metre away, this was before COVID times, but less than a metre away than John Barrowman and Jodie Whittaker on the set of the TARDIS. What do I say? What do I say about that? I only got to speak to Jodie very, very quickly because, as you'd expect, she's the Doctor. She's very busy. She's in basically every scene, so they had to get back filming, and I only got to chat very briefly with her. But again, you just get such a vibe off her that she just loves being there, and I can't compliment Jodie enough in terms of, as a person, how wonderful she is, and how great it was to see her on set as the Doctor. Still, even though that the interaction with both of them was somewhat brief, it was such a surreal experience to meet both John Barrowman and Jodie Whittaker on the set of the TARDIS, and I doubt it's something I'll ever be able to forget. Anyway, that is the video. That's the whole day on set. It's going to be a bit of a long one, I'm sure, this video, so I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something new out of this that you maybe didn't get before. It is an experience that I've had to keep from my friends, my family, and obviously all of you lot online for the last 15 months. I have been so excited to finally be able to talk about it and just got to get it out there, but obviously it's been a very difficult 15 months keeping my mouth shut about, you know, everything, especially John Barrowman. So yeah, all those times I had to lie to you guys to say that, oh, don't get your hopes up about John Barrowman being in the special just in case. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Yeah, what can I say? Anyway, that's all I really want to say. If you've got any burning questions you want to be answered about being on set and all that sort of stuff that you desperately want to ask, please put them in the comments. I can't promise to answer them for obvious reasons, but I'll try my best to answer as many as possible. Thanks all again for your support throughout this year. I know it's not been the best year for everyone, and especially content-wise on this channel, there's been a few times where it's been up and down, so I really, really appreciate all the love and affection that's gone into supporting this channel over the last year, and I hope that it continues in 2021, as I've got lots of things that I'm really excited to get out about. But this was a video that I've been waiting to make for so long, and I'm so glad to finally be able to talk about it, so thanks for tuning in, and yeah, I think that's basically that. So yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like because it makes sense. Subscribe if you haven't already with notifications on because YouTube's a bit of a mess. Comment below for any more suggestions in the future. And yeah, I've got Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff linked in the description below. And yeah, stay tuned. I've got some big Doctor Who stuff coming soon that I'm very excited to get out there. But yeah, so thanks for watching and Happy New Year. Bye bye.